Welcome back to the Two Promises Podcast. Let's dive right into another exciting adventure with BD and crew as he pursues his new passion of one day finding the most epic bourbon. The Two Promises team send their special thanks to Hobie and the Huckleberries for their masterful theme music. So grab a glass, relax, and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey and I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth whiskey. No more wine. I like straight bourbon. Baby, you try the ride.
All right, well, here we are. Awesome. Sweet. So we were just talking about one of our previous episodes with our fabulous Nor, because we're highlighting a bunch of lady bosses here. And I can't think of a better lady boss to be interviewing, even though we can kind of talk about how we ended up doing this interview together, but Momma Cheryl. So we have Momma Cheryl back on the show. The last we kind of saw her was at the wedding, really, and then, kind of spoke. So we're back, and here we are at the kitchen table, and she's got me some amazing coffee, and thanks for being back.
It's good to be back. I loved it, love you, and I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So thanks for having me. So we were originally planning to interview your daughter, who has been working a lot with the tragedy assistance programs for survivors and things like that. And I don't really know what she wanted to share. That's something that I really enjoy about my show, is I just kind of give some themes to the people that I want to hear their stories and stuff like that. And I ask kind of, what do you want to share based on your experience related to that? So I don't really know what her message is really going to be, and I'm excited to do that interview. So if you're listening to this, stay tuned for whenever we do get to do that. But now we get to kind of interview the mom that raised her and many other kids. And you've heard some of their stories here. So now we get to hear a little bit more from Mom and her story.
Yes, being a lady boss, when you said that to me, I'm like, well, I'm not really the boss, but if you ask my children, I guess they would say opposite of that I was the boss. But it's truly been my most blessed job of my life. Starting out, I was 18 when I had Crystal and didn't even know what to do. I would sit, and it was hard for me to even talk to her because it was hard to believe she was my own.
Yeah.
So I really just had to learn along the way of being a mom, a young mom, and trying to figure things out.
And yeah, and that's something that I've been struggling with, and that I've just kind of tried to, I don't really know a better way to say it, but we all are living life, and we don't really have an instruction manual or a step-by-step guide on how to be a mom.
Right.
How to be whatever, how to do this. So, I mean,
I would say it's definitely a learning curve, and you learn daily. I think of all the times when the things that I did, like in the morning time when everybody was getting ready for school, and 4 kids who are range from 12 years apart from youngest to oldest, everybody, the 2 middle ones, 5 years apart. So it was difficult. I mean, I was, morning was a struggle. Get your schoolwork, get your showers, get this, you got everything. And by the time I took them to school, I was usually a flustered mess because I felt like I had just yelled at them all morning. So by the time they get home from school, I'm like, I'm sorry I yelled this morning. And they're like, what, Mom?
Yeah, you were just disciplining the troops, getting them rallied, getting them up and at them. And
they're like, oh, okay, Mom, but you just had us all together and we had everything we needed for school that day and just being a mom.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of years to adapt to that, though, and say, okay, I'm just being a mom.
Wow. Yeah. And I think kind of what I'm kind of hearing from some of that, I don't know, is that from what you started with was like, I didn't see myself as the powerful boss. I didn't see myself as the commander or the domineer or whatever. But then whenever you kind of saw it from that other angle, you saw that yes, you were, but it was all out of that love and that desire for them to be prepared for what you knew that they were going to have. So I guess kind of what I'm kind of seeing is that the strength and the power that you have that helped you, raise all of these children isn't always seen.
No, and it's something that you do along the way. You question yourself, well, should I let them do this? Should I let them do that? Well, no. There are things that you have to let them spread their wings and let them learn new things and do other things. And then there are situations where it's a Friday night and they want to go to a slumber party, but okay, well, I need to call the parent and make sure that's okay. But why, Mom? Why do you have to call? And I'm like, because I'm your parent and I need to make sure that you will be safe, that someone will be there, and that things are going to go the way that I feel they should for my children to be there.
And that's awesome. Like the principle that I use for that, and I'm not trying to say use for that because I'm not a parent, but I've applied in different areas maybe, is trust but verify.
Yes.
You're not doubting your child's honesty.
No.
But you want to check from a few other sources, confirm, get that mommy gut, all kind of soothed out. And then, okay, cool. I trust you. I verified the facts. Go spread your wings. Have fun, child. I believe you will be safe.
Yes.
Make good decisions.
Yes. And that, in the end, is always what I want to know. Even now, as they're adults.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to know. Everything's going okay. Okay, you're not going to get hurt. Nobody can hurt you. All right, you're using your brain and doing the things you learned as a child. Good. Okay, I do that to myself a lot. I'll say, good job, Cheryl. You taught them that,
Absolutely. You don't just unbecome a mom just because they become adults.
No, it is harder because, they don't really listen to you like they did when you were a kid or when they were a kid and had no choice.
Right.
So...
Oh, man. And I guess that's something that I've been kind of going through, too, a little bit lately is just like the grace and that, while things aren't always the way that we envision them and the communication loops aren't always the way we would want them to be so that we do have that feeling of overall trust. But, again, you did well because you can see it in, like, what everyone else sees. Like, what are the fruits? And that's what I kind of go back to. Or what are the visible... like flowers of what Momma Cheryl has done for her life, and it's how amazing Rachel is. You know what I mean? All these good things that you're saying, and
That is the thing about being a parent, though, because it takes a lot of years before you realize the fruits of all your labor with your children. And I tell people that all the time when they're like, well, how in the world did you raise 4 teenagers? Teenagers will just drive a parent to be like, why did I have a child? They will make you think that way. And people will say, well, I can't handle this teenager. And I'm like, well, all you have to do is stay their parent. Don't try to become their friend because you have a lot of years to be their friend after you've been their parent for the 18 to 22, 24 years through college and that type of thing. Yeah. But you just have to be a parent and teach them to be productive people in this world.
That's really cool. So, and I like that too because, again, a lot of things for me that I've been kind of working through is trying to clearly define the boundaries between different things in those relationships. So whenever you just said, and I don't want to like minimize it by saying just, but whenever you very powerfully pointed out that a good thing that helped you was to stay their parent and not transition into being their friend. Fighting against maybe some of those emotional urges to connect with them emotionally as they grow and help them through some of these things, which is very important part of parenthood as they're trying to, develop their independence and where they fit into this world, right? So having to deal with that struggle within yourself to stay their parent and don't be their friend because you're saving that for when you can really fully enjoy it whenever they're mature. That's kind of what I've...
Right. That's exactly how I have looked at it.
And that is so awesome.
It's a struggle. I will not say it's not a struggle because when you have... Especially having 4 children, it just seemed overwhelming. There were lots of days when it was really overwhelming. It's like, well, do you have your homework done? Well, no, I still have this to do. Well, do you have all your stuff in your backpack? Well, I can't find this. Or do you have your uniform for tonight? Do you have your bow? Do you have your shoes?
High-functioning, active kids, 4 of them. And that's why I always look at my parents and I'm like, I don't know how they did it. You know what I mean? And then whenever, honestly, and I just be real, like whenever I come back and I'm like, I don't have anything right now, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I know they've been there so many times. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like, I think through all these things, you know, but that's just, I guess, a part of life, and understanding those cycles and just kind of being trusting.
Yes.
Trusting the
method to your madness, I guess, you know, because
Yeah.
it's like, well, it would be easier if I could just say, okay, go stay here for the weekend, you know, and it'll all be good. But no, I have to take the entire week to figure out, well, give me their parents' name. What's the address? I'll take you there. I want to see everything,
Yeah.
you know. And it always makes me think of you guys with your overnight video game things that you used to do when you were kids.
Yeah.
You guys with the Halo and all that.
Uh-huh.
There was not a time where you guys stayed somewhere that I didn't talk to either your parent or Chance's parent, or, you know, wherever it was you would go, even after year after year after year.
And before and after, just to see what everybody, you know, yeah, they all did the same thing. Everything's,
I know.
It's trending, you know what I mean? And that's something that I think that when we get caught up in the everyday, it's hard for us to see the trends. It's hard for us to see the positive trends. It's hard to see some of those things because we're focused in on the now.
Right.
What we've got going on and the stimuli in our environment now, and we're not like, okay. When I look at it from out here, everything is still trending positive, even if there's, you know, minor peaks and valleys here along the way. Even if there's big peaks and valleys, kind of like maybe where I would say I am now, but there's that safety net, that slump of the family, the community, and everything that kind of raised me anyway or got me here anyway.
Yes.
To kind of be like, okay, cool. Yeah, just cushion a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
We're here for you.
But being able to trust that at different stages is just part of, I think, the growth experience that we go through. And I think, I don't know. And so that's what I'm trying to, that's what I'm dealing with. It's like, where do I work? Where do I fight? And where do I trust? So I guess that's where I feel I am currently.
Well,
so that's kind of why I really wanted to hear from you more. And maybe some of those sources of strength that you've been able to go back to throughout the years, because the trend of excellence throughout you and all of your children and all the things that they've done and continue to do is incredible. So,
well, and I think that, you know, in 1990 when I lost my son Keith, it just totally, it's like it totally changed my brain set, my mindset, my priorities, and just showed me the fragility of life.
mm-hmm.
And how quickly everything can change. So make sure you keep those priorities to the forefront. But for me at that time with my kids, because they were so young, that was like making them realize the beauty of a sunset or a sunrise, or watching the color, the changing of the color of the leaves. You know, it was things that were that simple, but they made such a difference. Because now, even all these years later, which that was 31 years ago when he passed away, that my kids laugh about it now and they say, "Oh, Mom, did you see that beautiful orange maple?" You know, Mom. I mean, it's like, okay, that worked.
Yeah.
You know?
But, I mean, just to think, if I were to just try to put myself in your shoes, which, you know, how can you do that? But to think, how do you communicate the beauty that you're seeing in the moment through the lens of all the tragedy that you want them to appreciate, when they can't even understand the tragedy because they just aren't even at that level?
No, they weren't. They weren't. And I mean, it used to just really be a joke because I would go drive around to look at those things.
Yeah.
You know,
because that's what you were searching for. That's what you were seeking to find and
yes, and to make them
experience.
Yes, I wanted them to appreciate everything that was around them. Good, bad, ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever it is, I want you to know that we can be, well, I'm just trying to think of an example of
that's
something
amazing.
that's not necessarily, you know, it may not necessarily be a good thing, but it is part of life. And it is something that a lot of people go through, is figuring out a way to find joy from your tragedy.
Absolutely.
What can you make good out of what was bad?
Yeah.
And I just looked at it as I wanted them to appreciate all the things that Keith was not going to have on this earth. My saving grace was knowing where he was and knowing that he was fine and that he was happy and and was running around, which he would never have done on this earth.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's kind of a point that I kind of have been dealing with last year whenever I kind of was going through a lot of my things, and still, to this day, is remembering sometimes that even in our tragedy, that the people that have gone before us, those that have died, our brothers, our children, being able to slow down and see and appreciate all of those little things that they no longer can. And that's what they would want from us anyway. And so, again, trying to find our ways, this is what I'm kind of working on, finding our ways out of those negative loops. And it's like, if I'm dwelling on some of those, loss, their life, they're no longer here, why, searching for meaning, searching for answers, any of those things, whenever the exit loop is, hey, they would want me to be living my life. They would want me to be finding that sunset. They would want me to be being as much of me as I possibly could be.
Yes.
And living it to the greatest extent that I possibly could, because that is who they were in our lives, and that's what we would want for them. And being able to pass that appreciation on and show that is difficult to communicate.
It is.
Especially through generational everything.
Yes.
So, but you're doing it and you're living it. So that's why I want to highlight that. That's why I want to look at this canvas of your life and just show. You know what I mean? And I don't know any other way to do it. And I just think it's very special.
Well, I have tried my hardest to make the best life for myself and have as much joy, because life is short.
Absolutely.
Even if you're here for 80 years, life is short.
Life is short. Absolutely. So one thing that kind of, whenever you were speaking, is the power of appreciation, stuff like that, and recognizing the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And just saying, well, hey kids, so I just want to just tie it into something, an exercise that I do, because that's kind of what's helpful for me than trying to explain it, is some of those points that you've made, I'll listen to, like if I'm, just trying to zone out or trying to sleep, sometimes like the audiobook Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, or something like that, some like philosophy, or even during a workout. And you're talking a lot about frame shifts, a lot about mindfulness, a lot about presence in the moment, and a lot of the beauty and tragedy. And a lot of those are themes that he talks about as he talks through all the life experiences that he's lived through. So I just wanted to kind of do a touch point there, not saying that I have an answer here, but there's just kind of like some guideposts here for some of that mindfulness and that leadership. And I think really where his guidance a lot of was more through that servant leadership frame. And his stuff was very, there will be loss, even if you are an emperor, even if you are whatever. These are the cycles, and people will be people. And I mean, it's just, I think that if people are trying to find ways to actively cultivate some of these skills that you have, I'm just trying to say, hey, this is an option. Maybe if you listen to some of these things, you might be able to pick up some of these character traits that Momma Cheryl is sharing. And if you're not that type of person, that you don't think in those realms, that's fine. That's just a little nugget in case someone can resonate off of that. But I think that it's all going to move towards a collective, like, combining of our knowledge bases. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I mean, life is a learning experience. It's, you have the happy, you have the sad, and you have to decide and that's in everyday life. I mean, if you're worried about, well, I can't figure out what the heck I'm going to fix for supper, and then everybody's here and you're like, what the heck am I going to fix for supper? And really, when you just look at it and it's like, this is really small in the big scheme of things.
Yeah.
Let's make a pizza.
Yeah.
There's a simple solution to something that you've worried about all day. Then you didn't do it soon enough. Well, then you're all stressed out because you've got 4 kids and a hubby who's worked all day,
Absolutely.
know. But it is a definite conscious decision to say, am I going to let this day do me in? Or am I just going to sit back, take a breath, regroup, and let's try to move forward and find something positive that we can look at about this day. I truly, when I lost Keith, I would tell myself every day, this is either going to make me a better person or a bitter person. And I truly had to choose.
Absolutely.
I had to decide, am I going to give up? or am I going to go on? And if I am going on, what am I going to do that?
That's awesome.
So you do have to stay in your own mind and tell yourself. Sometimes it's on an hourly basis where you're saying, let's just keep going, keep going, keep going.
Absolutely. I think it was literally just yesterday that I was journaling about bitterness. So I just am so...
I've seen people. That's one thing about being a different generation. I'm almost 60. So I've seen many people throughout my lifetime who chose the other way and became bitter.
Yeah.
And their lives lost what they could have had.
Yeah.
So it is very much a conscious effort to make yourself choose, or if you choose to go this way, well, what am I going to do to make it this way?
Absolutely. And then I'll go a step further, and then, I mean, those are people that you've had relationships with because you know them. So you also have to take the step. Obviously, you're empathetic. You want to try to help them, but at the same time, you can't let them pull you into bitterness. So having to have that restraint.
That is the hard thing. It is the hard thing because you're like, well, okay, but if you try this way or you think this way, you know, you could just try moving forward a little bit or thinking more positive about it a little bit. And they're just, I can't. That was one thing that really was not allowed to be said in our household. And you say, can you do this? Will you go do this? Will you try this? Oh, I can't. How do you know you can't?
I do remember that. I do remember that.
It's like, you don't know that you can't until you try.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make people...
I like that. I can't is not in the vocabulary around here. So that's so good. And because it lets you stop.
Or stupid. That was also a word that was not allowed in our house. And that was one thing that the kids would do when they were mad at each other because they knew it wasn't allowed, was call each other stupid. I'm telling Mom.
You're not allowed to do that. He said stupid.
I think about so many times. Major argument. Okay, how did this start? He called me stupid. Really?
Oh, my kids.
I know. They will make you think you're crazy.
Yeah, right? And some of them, never grow up. I'm not going to point any fingers or anything, but kids, huh? So, it's been such a pleasure to be here. We do still have some more time together, but I just want to celebrate just the smiles and the laughs that we've been able to share.
Yeah, because there were a lot of tears before these laughs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's very true. So I'm glad that we're bringing that to light and just showing one that, I mean, beauty is born a lot of times in that tragedy. And it's all about how that tragedy is cultivated. It's what you do with it. It's how everybody's dealt a hand, right? Everybody's dealt circumstances, and you hear all the things like it's not what happens to you, or it's, how you react to it or how you respond.
Right.
And without trying to make it that basic and cliche,
sometimes it just is.
It just is. So thank you for showing us how to cultivate some of those tragic examples and turn them into just incredible stories of growth and beauty, which is why anyone who's listening to this really needs to stay tuned for Rachel's interview.
Definitely.
Because then you get to see, the
product
fruit
of all my,
yes, the product of all of your efforts.
Yes.
So I just want to kind of leave it to you to wrap up if there's any story you want to share or anything that you want to end it with, and then we'll just start closing it out.
Oh, I just think about all the times when I said that earlier about, yelling at everybody, getting everybody going and all of that. And then I think about the times when we all just sat around the dinner table and everybody talked about all the good things that happened to him that day. And I'm just like, okay, it's all worth it. Yeah. It really is. Sometimes you don't see it for a long time, and sometimes you get little glimpses of it. This is working. This is working. So I'm grateful and thankful that I had those glimpses throughout their life of knowing that the path I was trying to take and what I was trying to teach my kids and to raise them up to be happy, healthy, productive adults. Mm-hmm. And that was my job in life. And I feel truly blessed that I've seen a lot of success from my job.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of belief.
Yes.
That sounds like you had to have a lot of belief throughout the years.
A lot of faith.
A lot of faith
in what I was doing was going to work.
Yeah. and just trusting those little glimpses, those little small stepstones
Yes.
that you were kind of seeing in front of you.
And it is. It's all a journey.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. But you're, I believe that just talking to you, that the joy that you found from just trusting that journey and just, I mean, I don't know. I just feel overwhelming amounts of, I don't know how to describe it, but truth, honesty of everything that you just said, of how that faith that you had throughout just seeing those little glimpses, now you have so much more peace.
I do.
Looking back.
I really do. I do. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this life.
Yeah. So a big theme of mine is congruence, and just pointing back at that, as you've been congruent to your values over time, and that's why you can enjoy and feel that peace now. And that's super powerful. And if I don't want to change anything or whatever, but if that sounds like what I heard and felt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course that doesn't mean that I didn't make mistakes along the way.
Of course not. We all make mistakes, and that's why we've got the community and the grace, so that whenever balls do get dropped, we know that they weren't intentional.
Right.
Once we know that our community is solid, once you do that trust but verify loop circle that you describe,
right.
It's just like, okay, I got all my warm and fuzzies, mommy's comfortable, right? So thank you again. I meant to give you the last word, so I'm still going to give you the last word, but every time we talk, I just never want to stop talking. So,
I know.
So go ahead if you want to wrap it up, and then I'll close us off. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm grateful for Brent, too. Brent's my son from another mother, so I see a lot of things in him that I see in my children, just trying to figure this life out and find joy in this life, and all I can say is just keep searching and working towards it. It's there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Thanks for being on the show again, and I look forward to having you on again. Love you.
Love you, Brent.
Thank you for joining us today on this curious roller coaster of life. If this is your stop, please exit peacefully. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're ready for another one, just push play. Just a final note before you go. Thank you. And thank you for feeling. The distillation and aging process is different for everyone. I'm not quite sure what you're ready for. Sip slowly and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey, now I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth whiskey. No more